Hello and welcome to Constructing Comics. This is going to be a little bit of a different show for us. This one we're going to break down two recent trailers. First, we're going to look at Top Gun Maverick, and then we are going to look at the most recent Watchmen trailer that came out around San Diego Comic-Con. So this is Matt and Noah. So I think this is going to be a bit of an experiment. We're going to hit play. We're going to go. If we see something interesting, we're going to hit pause, and we are going to sort of go through these scene by scene, make some predictions, make some guesses, and just enjoy the trailer. So up first, we're going to look at Top Gun. So let's see here. Okay. Hey, no, I just want to check in. Is my screen coming up there or nope? Okay, so a little bit of, let's see.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Sorry for that technical difficulty. Let's make this a little bit larger. All right. Let's watch Top Gun.
All right. Maverick. Sullen music, because this is a dark, gritty sequel.
All right. So this will be the first pause here.
Okay.
This seems like it's pretty accurate that he's in an F-18 because since Top Gun the movie, F-14s have been retired, so he wouldn't still be flying a F-14 at this point. So good job there on the continuity and the real life machinery they should be using.
And I don't know if this is Tom flying the jet itself, but it's definitely someone else flying it, which is pretty cool to see that they're sticking with Tom Cruise's movies where he likes the practical effects on everything and to have it being shot in real life. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah. All right. I'm assuming that was our hit the brakes and they'll fly right by us sort of move that he was putting on there.
I like that shot right there. Ed Harris, newcomer.
So yeah, I was trying to think. I was thinking he wasn't in the first one, but I'm wondering if the guy who tells him that his butt is writing checks that he can't cash. I wonder if they're just trying to if this is the same guy or what. So I mean,
yeah, because Tom Skerritt passed away, right?
Yeah, so
yeah,
just replacing one old white bald guy with another one. So
right, yeah. I like Ed Harris, so he fits in this world really well. Tom looking good as always, smug.
And so I think I saw somewhere online where somebody did the timeline that if you have this in real life timeline with the first Top Gun, he should be 57 years old. So
okay, and
I don't think technically they would still let him be a pilot at that age, but it's a movie.
And I think right there, that moment right there with him doing the quick signs, that seems like a bit of realism right there, isn't it? Like that seems something that Tom would be citing a real pilot's use right there, and not so much of a flashy representation of how a pilot operates. Am I wrong, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering for that shot where he comes off the carrier, I'm wondering if he's actually in the back seat of a jet, and they got that because it doesn't look like it looks like a practical effect, basically just putting him in the back and letting a pilot catapult him off the deck.
Too, who knows? But I'm guessing they wouldn't allow him to fly something like that. But if they did it like how they did for Dunkirk, in that movie, they had a lot of the actors, with the camera on the back, showing them flying with the pilot up front. And yeah, that's sort of like how you were talking about right there. So that could definitely be that effect. Either way, it's really cool. I think this movie I hope this movie gets an IMAX release because I'd love to see those flying scenes in IMAX.
Yeah. And so could this movie be more like dripping in nostalgia and just playing off the
Yeah,
imagery of the first movie? I mean, here we
yeah.
are a minute in, and he's got the same jacket, he's got the same bike, he's got the same glasses, and he's, you know, going down the side of a runway as other planes take off.
One thing I'm missing though from the nostalgia is that the colors are very drained, unlike the original, which is so vibrant with its color, its saturation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if this is just supposed to like, if the movie's like taking, if it's taking more of a darker tone to it, or if it's gonna have that fun. You know, like this trailer is very dark and like almost brooding at times. It feels like, especially at the beginning, not brooding like Batman or anything like that, but it's got that like modern thriller aspect to it. You know, like a
Yeah.
Mission Impossible movie or something like that. You know, it's not nearly as colorful. And yeah, okay, John Hamm,
Yeah.
very happy he's in this.
Yeah. I wanted to pause there. I haven't looked
Yeah,
up to see if there's any like listings on who he is. So,
yeah,
all right.
he might be the Iceman character in this. Okay, that's ridiculous. Like 57.
Well, no, well that's Goose's kid.
Oh, that's Goose's kid. Oh, I thought that was Tom Cruise right there. Oh, okay.
No, no.
Never mind.
So apparently Goose's kid is in Top Gun in this one. So
Okay.
that's
He's got to be old too. Like, not old, but in his 30s at least.
well, I was trying to think, and it's been a while, but when Goose hits the canopy, and then like Meg Ryan like flies in.
Yeah.
Do like two kids get off of the plane with her and sort of like, and they're like playing with like airplanes? So I'm assuming this is one of those two kids here.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like in this one at least, beach football is the new beach volleyball. So
Yes. Is it going to be dripping into homoeroticism of the first film? We can only hope.
yeah. So I think, let's see if I can bring it back there. All right. So
No, it looks like only one kid, but maybe
Oh.
I'm looking at screenshots from the movie. Yeah, it looks like a son.
So I messed up the cursor there, but all right, let's go here. See if I all right, Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly.
Is she Charlie?
I don't think
You
so.
don't think so? You think
No.
she's a new character?
Yeah, let me look her character name up. Maybe they have a character name. Yeah, they don't have a character name up. She could be Charlie. So she was, you know, she's only 8 years younger than Tom Cruise, which isn't bad. So
Nah.
like at least they're not like replacing Kelly McGillis with someone like really young, like Jennifer Lawrence or somebody like that. You know,
Yeah,
as a
it'd be
love
kind of
interest.
yeah. So all right, I don't think she's Charlie, but I think that would be interesting that if she was.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah, do you think she's a pilot or do you think she's some kind of like journalist probably or something like that? Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What would she? Maybe I don't know. Like because there looks like they have like some futuristic like tech that they're like planes that they're in. So maybe she's like a defense contractor or something like that. That's like
Yeah.
trying to, or maybe I don't know. It looks like she's the love interest. So
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, playing piano.
Yeah,
That Goose's kid again.
Yeah, and it looks like I guess maybe the same piano's still there. I don't know.
Hope it's tuned. Just kidding.
It's yeah. It's just if that could be more from the first movie, I don't know. It's like it's the same piano, same shirt, same glasses.
Yeah, this is Top Gun greatest hits. This trailer, I love that shot. That's a great shot right there. That is very reminiscent of stuff from the 80s, like Michael Mann and Tony Scott kind of framing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And this is being directed by Joseph Kosinski, and he worked with Tom Cruise on Oblivion, which is a very underrated science fiction film, which Wilson borrowed designs. Like he was clearly inspired by some of the designs for that on Digital Forever.
Mm-hmm.
But Joseph Kosinski is a really great visual director. He's only done 3 movies. His last one was Only the Brave, which was pretty good. And his first film was Tron Legacy, which was really good visually. So with him directing and then Christopher McQuarrie's writing, I think it's going to be a pretty good movie. But just from this shot, you can tell the movie's going to be very beautiful and how well executed it is.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we saw just briefly there before, I think what's good is that the crew is a little bit more diverse than the first movie. I think in the first movie we might have only had like one like African American guy like in Top Gun. At least now we have a little bit more of a diverse. We have female pilots, and it's not all square jawed white guys. So I think that's a good change there.
But don't worry, there's still square-jawed white guys in this movie for those fans of the original. And we got John Hamm, the square-jawed white guy of the century. So
correct.
Yeah. Oh, snap!
All right,
some drama with Goose's kid right there.
Yeah. Well, it's Top Gun. There's somebody said something to somebody, or somebody went below the flight deck and got a win that wasn't really a win. So all right, so we need to figure out or speculate who's in this coffin.
Not Goose's kid.
No,
not again.
I don't think it's Goose's kid. I think so. I think unfortunately it's my guy, Tom Kazansky.
Oh no, Iceman.
I think Iceman doesn't make it out of this movie.
Oh no, I hope not. I hope he's okay. Yeah. So. Do you think he'll be like dying at the beginning, and then like this is how the movie starts? Do you think?
Okay.
Kind of like Watchmen.
So. Okay, this is going to be another guess on my part.
Okay.
And forgive me when I go into this. I think maybe like Maverick's going to be like hanging on. He's the last of his kind. They want to replace everybody with drones. They don't want these hotshot pilots anymore. I think Ice is left, but I think he is ill.
Okay.
And I think he passes away. And Pete Mitchell, Maverick has to sort of like come back because he could always be his wingman. So like when he passes away, he shows up and pays him his sort of last respect. But that's my guess. Who do you think is in this coffin?
Oh, I would guess Iceman also, or Charlie. Could be Charlie, because she would get this treatment because she was Air Force, right? Because she was an instructor. So maybe it could be Charlie
or Jester.
Yeah. Could be Jester, who was his second co-pilot, right?
No, that was Merlin. That was
Merlin.
That
was Timothy Robbins.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because the first guy couldn't hack it and turned in his wings at the. Before Pete went to Top Gun. So yeah, when they get called out to the carrier, he has a. But no, Jester was like the number 2 at like Top Gun, and who was Tom Skerritt was like the main guy, right?
Yeah, Tom Skerritt was Viper.
Yeah. So
yeah. Jester was Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's
I love that shot. That's cool. Gosh, some cool action shots right here.
So they're obviously in some sort of like northern snowy environment. Where do you think they are right here?
I'm Russia, I'm guessing. Or they could be doubling New Zealand for the Middle East again. Well, they doubled New Zealand for Kashmir in Mission Impossible, the most recent Mission Impossible.
Okay.
So this is definitely New Zealand where they filmed this, I'm guessing. So they could be doubling for something like, I don't know, what's snowy in the Middle East, like Nepal, I guess, or something like that. I guess that's Asia.
Well, that or maybe like a mountainous range, like in like Afghanistan or something like that. So
something like that, yeah.
I don't think. Do you think they go back to Russia?
I don't know if they do something like that. But they could.
Yeah. It would be topical.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Obviously, he's got to go inverted.
Of course, because it's so cool. Great shot. Beautifully composed. They're doing a lot of stuff for Mission Impossible 4 in this. So that suit that he's wearing right there, and they showed a little bit of it earlier. Mission Impossible 4, they designed a helmet for the Halo jump sequence for Tom Cruise that had LED lights lined up inside it. So that while Tom Cruise was doing the actual Halo jump, they could see his face. But it actually functioned like it. And they had something similar to that earlier in this shot. In this show, and he's not wearing a helmet like that in any of the plane shots, so they might be doing another like Halo jump scene in this movie. I'm wondering.
Oh wow!
Because that suit looks like a Halo jumpsuit that he's wearing right there.
Yeah.
Because it's got the rim around like you would like put an actual helmet on rather than just the typical like fighter helmet, I guess. Yeah.
All right. And
they have the tinkling of the nostalgia pianos right there because they played the theme.
Yeah, so we did get an F-14 there. Flying by at the end. I'm just
maybe that's the final straw. That's him like you want to win a war, you got to go old school or something like that. I don't know.
So all right. So do you want to talk about that any further, or you want to jump over to Watchmen here?
I'm excited to see, so I guess the one thing we have to talk about the movie is the music for it.
Yeah.
With such an iconic theme music, and then, of course, an iconic soundtrack as well on top of that, I'm going to be interested to see who they bring in as artists or if they're ever going to do anything. Because one thing also that's cool about Joseph Kosinski is like Tron Legacy, the music was composed by Daft Punk. So he's very and then Oblivion was composed by M83. So he has a very strong background in pop music, and Only the Brave had a really great artist soundtrack with all the stuff that he brought in from that movie. And I can't remember who composed the score, but the composers for this film are Hans Zimmer, which that's awesome because he'll do a great score for it, and Harold Faltermeyer, who was the original composer for Top Gun. Which is pretty cool that they brought him back. So we're going to see some cool stuff, I think, from the music as far as score-wise, but I'm really interested to see if they're going to have any original pop music or original rock or anything like that, try to do something like Kenny Loggins did for it. And what do you think? Do you think they'll bring on anybody, or do you think they'll just reuse classic stuff?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know, because that's just sort of a difficult, road to figure out. Because it easily could go, askew very, very quickly depending on who they bring in. So I think I might just like the theme and a nice sort of, musical score with some, atmospheric music. I don't know necessarily, if I need, Loverboy being played while they play, beach volleyball or beach football in this case. So.
I'm really excited for the score. Seeing both of them on there, it's looking to line up to be maybe my favorite score of next year. That's two great composers right there working on it. All right, let's do Watchmen.
All right, Watchmen.
All right. This is interesting. Having so with the original comic book series, it's as much a commentary on comic books as it is in its own self-contained story and stuff like that. There's so many levels to the narrative, but another level of it is the commentary on the comic books at large and stuff like that, and sort of what was popular. So every sort of, I guess, dynamic or cliche is sort of represented in the book and then turned on its head in a real world area, And one of the brilliant things that goes unnoticed about the Zack Snyder film is that he designed every character with a cinematic superhero counterpoint in mind, And the most obvious of that is Ozymandias having the Joel Schumacher Batman kind of suit, where it's rubber with nipples on it and stuff like that. Zack Snyder understood the source material being as much a commentary and a parody of superhero comics. So he did the same thing with the movie, where he made the costumes and the look of it be a parody of what superhero films had been up to that point. So this is interesting that they started out with, this could be a movie that the main character is watching, but it could also be a TV show. So they could be making a commentary throughout the whole show about, like, you know, making a parody of superhero shows, which are huge now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have like the Netflix shows, Marvel shows, or you have all of the CW DC shows.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like that. So that's interesting that they started it out here. It's really cool.
So I'm trying to remember back. Was this character in Watchmen, or was this character in? It was like, was it like
that's Hooded Justice,
like a flashback?
Yeah, this is Hooded Justice was a big part of the past, like the first Minutemen group, and he was the one that beat up Eddie Blake when Eddie Blake tried to rape Sally Spectre. That's her name. No, yeah, Sally.
Yeah, and I feel like they fleshed his character out a little bit more in the before Watchmen series a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a pretty cool start to it.
Yeah, but this is also interesting because this would be like a true story, like superhero movie that he's watching right here, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eating beans like Rorschach. That's a throwback to the comic. That's also a throwback with the blimps. Oh, that's funny. So that's what he was watching right there. That sign for it's like a documentary series or something like that, like a docudrama. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got a newspaper here.
Biden officially declares maybe world peace.
Yeah. And then we have
the Tulsa Sun.
We also have a let's see, we have a
KKK.
Ku Klux Klan ad there.
Yeah. An alternate history with the styles, which is really cool to see. Like, it's an alternate version of our future, kind of like how Watchmen was an alternate version of 1980s. You know, if we have an alternate history because of Dr. Manhattan, featured here.
Mm-hmm.
Purple and yellow, the costume colors, Ozymandias in the comics. That's a clever nod.
Yeah.
And then also that he has some purple on his outfit right there. That's pretty great. In the background, you can see molecular structures in the background. Very cool. Now the Rorschach guys. Now this might be a commentary, and I think it is a commentary on the fans of Watchmen who think, like, you know, the ones who are like Rorschach's the hero of the story, that kind of thing, you know. Because, like, you know, there's this misunderstanding of the Watchmen books that there's a hero and there's a villain in the book. Mm-hmm. So the hero being Rorschach, the villain being Ozymandias. Now, there are some people that will say the opposite, that Ozymandias is the hero, Rorschach is the villain. But that they're both wrong. There's no heroes and there's no villains in Watchmen, and that's the whole point of the story. You know, it's who watches the Watchmen. Right there, that's a morally ambiguous statement right there. You know?
Yeah, and it's kind of like... I don't know if this is like a good sort of analogy, but it's sort of like people who, when they watch Clockwork Orange, they, for some strange reason, you know, root for Alex, who is not the hero at all.
No, and it's not the point of the story. And this is like, I'm wondering if this is a commentary about like the fans who were like, yeah, Rorschach's the hero, and, you know, that's who these people are, you know. The ultra right super fans of Rorschach. I like this right here, that basically the superheroes and the police force emerged. I'm really interested. This is the part that interests me the most about this series, is the logic behind this and how they build the world around it. I really love that.
Yeah, you got to think like how difficult it would be to try to be a police officer with, you know, meta humans or superheroes running around, like you just sort of like that Gotham Central, like those guys are just trying to go about their job, and, you know, wander into a crime scene where Batman is fighting the Joker, and laughing gas or Joker toxins going everywhere. So yeah, you could play with a lot of interesting story elements there.
They make a comment later about what the difference between the police force and vigilantes are. And then she's like, there is no difference, that kind of thing. Well, the character whose last name is Blake gets introduced later. There's also this level of like, as a superhero, there's always this argument coming up in Batman comics about how Batman is without responsibility because he has no one holding him accountable because of the mask. He's more than just a person. He's more than just a man. So them applying that to police force, they're no longer human beings. They are the police force, and pure and simple. So their brutality, everything can go unchecked because there's no personal responsibility attached to one human being. There's the whole force,
Yeah.
It's I'm interested if they're going to go that way. Clock ticking. Loving the use of color so far with like the bright, just sort of, very desaturated, but then with these just bright splashes of like yellow and red and then later blue. It's really great to see those. Like it follows along with what James Higgins was doing with the original book, where he was sticking to mostly like secondary colors with like purples and yellows. So then when the primaries came in, they really burst. So like Dr. Manhattan being blue really jumped off the page, or if something was red, it really jumped off the page.
With these law enforcement guys, they're in uniform, but that yellow mask really stands out, and you really see it, and you're like, oh, that's not right. That shouldn't be there. It's so bright that it's like calling your eye to it.
Yeah. Very happy to see Crockett being Watchmen. Very brutal, very violent. Oh, there's the cemetery, probably where they buried Blake. Yeah. A lot of, again, kind of like Top Gun, you get some sort of classic images from Watchmen, with the cemetery and with the flashes of yellow and things like that. They're still playing on that sort of familiar imagery associated with the graphic novel. I'm interested to find out more about this character. Oh, yep. More classic imagery right there. Yeah. With a little red dot up in the left right there.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep. Owl ship right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. More hooded justice. So there's going to be two types of enforcement. They're going to be vigilantes and they're going to be policemen, as we've seen so far. So I'm interested to see again. I'm like, that's the part that really fascinates me, is how they're going to build the world around these characters. Bam. I love this actress. I can never remember her name. She introduces herself as with the last name of Blake. So she's either going to be the comedian analog, or she's going to be related to the comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where he talks about the conspiracy. Nope, they'll have that black freighter, pirate flag back there, and followed by the owl ship. So the conspiracy, I guess, going on here is that this takes place after the events of the Watchmen book. So there are like two alternate endings. There are two endings you could perceivably see after the book ends. So one of them is Doomsday Clock, which we're reading through right now. We talk about a lot. Yeah. And one of them is this show. So you have at the end of for Doomsday Clock, how it ends is that Rorschach's journal exposes the truth about Ozymandias' massacre. And then in this one, it doesn't, everything continues on with peace. And you get you get this world peace with the very few people believing that there's some larger conspiracy going on and Rorschach is right kind of thing. So and if it goes deeper than that.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I'm just trying to think, and I probably should have pulled out the book and looked at it. And everybody's going to kill me for this, but at the end of Watchmen, the comic, the don't the bombs go off?
Yeah, no, not the bombs. What happens is Ozymandias unleashes what he has created to appear as an extra dimensional being that murders millions of people.
That's right.
So everybody declares war on aliens in the end, and that's how they get their world peace.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for I'm losing all my geek cred right there.
You are. Shame on you. This is creepy. Clowns are awful. Wonder who that is. Yeah, but I think that's the owl ship crashing right there. Or I might be wrong though. Could be another superhero. Yeah. It's Dr. Manhattan on Mars. The owl ship, great design, redesign of the owl ship. That's pretty cool. So is Crockett Night Owl then, do you think?
I'm not sure. I always, like, on the earlier previews or trailers, I always kind of figured it was a new character.
Yeah. Which they changed their names at the end of the book. So at the end of Watchmen, Night Owl and Silk Spectre 2 changed their names. So Dan Dryberg and Lori Jupiter, they changed their names and they go into hiding and they dye their hair and everything. So he could be Dan Dryberg in a new identity. But at the end of the book, they kind of wanted to stay incognito for the rest of their lives. Like they don't want to be in the flashy superhero life anymore. They realize.
Yeah, when you started bringing that up, I was thinking that if they had gone through the whole process of creating an alias and sneaking away, why they would, insert themselves into the drama again. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about Doomsday Clock is that they haven't brought those characters back. That's sort of a good sign of Jeff Johns' respect for the source material. Mm-hmm. Is him to realize, no, they don't belong. Their stories definitely ended at Watchmen. And that's why he introduced the two new, the mime and the marionette characters.
Yeah, but what you don't know is going to happen is in Watchmen, this Watchmen HBO show, Superman's going to show up and
I hope so.
Just start fighting Dr. Manhattan.
This will be the 12th issue. This whole series will be the 12th issue to Doomsday Clock.
Oh, yeah. Season 3 will be completed before Doomsday Clock is
right.
Finished.
More owl ship stuff. Yeah. Getting into the abstract imagery, very Alan Moore with bugs and pigs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing Damon Lindelof knows his stuff and knows his Alan Moore.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Alan got his HBO account activated for when this comes out, because he's going to be very excited to sit down and watch it.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah, because he's such a big fan of anything that adapts his work, The Stinger, it's a Blue Man Group mask. Just kidding. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for that. I think it's pretty interesting that HBO took this on. I know that Damon Lindelof has been sort of trying to do something with Watchmen for a while, but this should be pretty cool.
Yeah, HBO's been trying to do something like with Watchmen for at least the last 5 years or so. They've been trying to do something at least a Watchmen-esque. And but what's interesting is that the first big name attached to a Watchmen adaptation was Terry Gilliam, and he wanted it to be a miniseries on HBO or something like that. So this is sort of coming full circle for sort of what they intended to be the adaptation, but I'm happy they're not trying to adapt it. Rather, they're just continuing the story or giving an alternate ending to Watchmen.
Yeah. So as we get ready to finish up here, what do you think anybody who is not familiar with Watchmen, that's like, oh, there's a new superhero show coming on HBO, and they love their Guardians of the Galaxy 2. What do you think they're gonna think when they turn on and it's dark, it's moody, it's mysterious, you don't really know who's the good guys and who the bad guys are? Do you think that's gonna help it, or do you think that's gonna hurt it?
Oh, I think it's gonna help it. It's like the book.
Yeah.
The book is on the top list of, and when people who are trying to get into comics after they watch their Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and they get the good feels from that movie and the action and the imagery and everything, and then they go to comics and they look at it like, everybody recommends Watchmen, and then they go into that and then they just feel like crap afterwards. But like it's like, but I think at the same time, it kind of, what Watchmen does, whether you love it or you like it, it expands your idea of what a graphic novel can be.
Very
and I
true.
think this shows, I hope it's going to push it in that same direction, where it's like, it's going to push what comic book TV show or a superhero TV show can be,
Yeah, and I think one thing that might help is the sort of the audience that's an HBO audience. They've been exposed to a lot of stuff that's your Westworlds or stuff like that. That's sort of like that mind bending. We're not going to spoon feed you a linear story. We're going to play with mystery boxes, and we're going to not explain everything. So hopefully, some of that same audience there comes over for Watchmen.
And I've not watched Lindelof's last series that he did on HBO with The Leftovers. And he did a lot of mystery box stuff on that. What I'm hoping he does, and I know his mystery box and on Lost, and him and J.J. Abrams, their mystery box on Lost, like, they screwed it up. And then him and Ridley Scott screwed it up on Prometheus and then Alien Covenant. So I don't know how Leftovers ended, if it ended really badly with its mystery box opening. But what I'm hoping he does with this show is that he attracts an audience that loves this universe, that loves the book. And the twist might be around all the revelations in the book, Like, so this is sort of an adaptation that fans want to see, or an appreciation of the graphic novel and TV show form that the fans want to see. So they'll stick around for that. And then you'll have the people who are not familiar with the graphic novel, but just love shows like Westworld and True Detective and stuff like that, and want a good story where they don't know where it's going. And then they get to the ending and it reveals something that was in the book, and then their minds are blown. I'm hoping that's what it is. And he just sort of keeps the mystery box stuff rooted in the source of material of Watchmen.
So that made me have a thought. I wonder how much do you think there's any sort of like involvement or oversight by DC Comics to say, hey, don't do that, or this storyline that you're doing here is really damaging to the brand. Like, do you think there's a bit of that?
I don't think so. DC, after Justice League, lost DC and Warner Brothers so much money. Batman versus Superman and Justice League together lost them so much money. They had to rethink how they did their movies. So with Aquaman, they just were like hands off,
Okay.
Like they gave James Wan whatever he needed to make that movie. Same with like Shazam and stuff like that. They're like, no, you just do your film. We'll stand back here. We'll have Jeff Johns, of course, like look over everything and stuff like that. And Jeff Johns is a great collaborator with everyone that he works with, except for Zack Snyder, apparently, because Zack Snyder hated working with Jeff Johns. But then, but like, with the CW and stuff like that, DC just lets what's his name, Berlanti, do whatever he wants with those movies, those characters. And that universe is expanding. Every new season of every show, it expands, and they're like, now thinking about how to introduce Batman and stuff like that to that universe and things. So DC's found a good groove when they just let their producers or their writers do their thing. And in a way, that's kind of like how their comics are too. I mean, they'll kick people off books and stuff like that once the angry nerds, say enough things. But I don't even know if that's the case, because they're just sort of like, they're not Marvel where they're just rebooting every year, So I don't think DC is going to be too hands-on. I think they're like, I think they've learned that they make money when they're hands off, Yeah. And when they just let the creators do their thing. And that's what Watchmen is, That's what it was originally, where like they gave it to Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. They were like, hey, do the Charlton comics adaptation. And then so Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons started working, and they're like, there's something else here. We want to run with that. And DC was like, yeah, we'll pay you the exact same thing to just do this. And then every issue they were like, yeah, we love it. We love it. Even though this is like messed up stuff, this is what we want to do, And that's the spirit of DC Comics. And when they start varying from that, that's sort of when it doesn't work out for them.
Yeah.
They need to like keep the weirdos doing their thing, So they need to let, people like Grant Morrison and Garth Ennis write their weird stuff, and that's how they make their money. Because I mean, like, one of the best examples of that is like Preacher recently, and Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg have been able to do whatever the heck they want with that show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all on AMC to like, to be the censors on there, but like DC's cool with whatever they do with that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. That this was a lot of fun. This is a little bit different for us.
Yeah.
Maybe when some of the we got a lot of recent movie news from San Diego Comic-Con. Probably a while before we see any trailers for those. But when those come out, I'd like to break those down. There's a ton of cool announcements there. The Blade movie, the Thor movie that's coming out. So we could do some breakdowns there. So
yeah, I can't wait to see the trailers for that stuff.
All right. Well, I had a lot of fun, and this was something new for us. But hopefully, we can come back and do another one soon. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Goodbye.